Welcome, everyone. Uh, my name is Amber Beebe. Once again, those of you that may have just have joined at the tick of 11, because I just said my name a minute ago. Anyway, welcome to the Art of Cooking Well. Myself and Jen Hosier is in the kitchen. We're going to join her very, very shortly. And we are so excited to bring to you one pot meals. Very excited about that. It's just a theme that we like to mix it up every January to try to help meet your health goals. We always want to be healthier. For some reason, that new year, that new fresh, we want to do something to really emphasize that. And so we decided to do one pot meals. And so we are excited about that. And we wanted to let you know that we're going to go through all of these recipes today. And before I jump over, I have a couple announcements. Sorry about that. That was a little bit shoppy, but that's okay. Um, we we want you to know that if you want to be on these classes to show up on your My Chart, you have to sign up. So some people say, hey, I don't get the emails anymore. Well, you have to sign up. And there's our email right on the slide, bariatricsupport@slhs.org. So be sure that you send us an email because you have to be signed up in order to get that link. And then if you're watching the recorded version, those of you that aren't online live right now, and you would like the recipes for this class, please also email us at that email address, and we will send you them January 2025, and we will send those to you. All right, let's get started and we're going to switch it on over to Jen in the kitchen.
Hey everyone, welcome to January. Welcome to 2025, right? Here we are. So make sure you're writing 2025 whenever you're dating your documents now. I know it took me a couple times to do that, but I think I finally got it. So today is one pot meals. We wanted to go through a few different recipes, a few different just ideas on what you could create in the kitchen, but trying to kind of keep it simple, trying to minimize the dishes and all the cookware and everything a little bit, and really just kind of be able to throw everything in one pot, essentially, get her done and get on with life, right? Get that dinner or whatever it is prepared and ready for everyone and feel like you've got still a complete meal. You know, everything is still there, all the elements that we're looking for. So we are going to start with a chicken and cauliflower dish with a smoked Gouda sauce. Yes, it's amazing. I think you're going to love it, especially if you like smoked Gouda or some of those smoky kind of flavors. So what I've done to start is I've got my pan. I know you can't see very well over in here because it's got that high wall, but I've got my onions, some oil, and my cauliflower, and I just started sauteing that in there. So I'm starting to get a little bit of browning going on in this, is what I like. You don't have to get it quite brown, but I just think it tastes better that way. So that's what I'm doing. We used frozen cauliflower. So it's already going to be a little bit softer because we use the frozen instead of using fresh. If you had fresh cauliflower, I would probably add the step of tossing that in some oil and actually roasting it in the oven or steaming it, something where you can actually soften it a little bit more than just doing that in the pan. But the trick that we've used to kind of speed that up a little bit when it comes to thawing the cauliflower, I laid it all out on a sheet and I stuck it in the oven on the keep warm setting, which is about 170 degrees typically. And I just let that sit in there and thaw while we got our other ingredients ready, so that by the time I was ready to put it in the pan, it at least was thawed. And I wasn't trying to saute frozen cauliflower. So that's what we did with that. And it worked out pretty well, I think. I'm going to use that trick at home. So what I've got now is some nicely browned cauliflower and onions. And we are going to stick this in our bowl. We're just going to set this aside because we need to make our sauce. And we're gonna make a sauce. We're not buying sauce. We're not getting a jar. We're gonna make our sauce here. Really easy though, okay? If you've made sauces before, you know what I'm talking about. If you've not made sauces before, you got this. It's gonna be fine. So what we want to start with is we're gonna make a roux. It says paste on the recipe for anyone who doesn't know what a roux is, but roux, French, R-O-U-X. And that is what we're going to make. And that is going to be our thickener for the sauce. And it is a 1-to-1 ratio of a fat and a flour. So we have 1 tablespoon of our olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter in here, kind of get that nice buttery flavor, but we still get some more of the health benefits from the olive oil. So that's going to go into our pan, and I'm just melting that butter down a little bit. So I've still got the heat on, not super high. And I've got my flour. So we've got arrowroot powder. What do we have, Amber? We have tapioca powder. There's so many flours. You could use regular all-purpose flour. Like if that's what you have, and you're like, Jen, I'm not going to go buy a bag of another kind of flour. It's cool. We're just using 3 tablespoons to thicken it. We're not using a ton of flour. But if you need an alternative or you would prefer an alternative, the tapioca flour does work really, really well. The arrowroot powder in particular, which is what we're using today, works really, really well. And that's what we usually use when we're making a roux here lately. So I've got my butter melted now. I'm going to put in my flour. So 3 tablespoons of the butter and oil, 3 tablespoons of the arrowroot powder. And I'm just going to get this all smashed together. We're mixing it together. We're going to make our nice little paste, and we're going to let it cook in here for just a minute or two and just in it brown a little bit, nothing too crazy, so that we've got a little bit of flavor added that way. Plus we can kind of scrape up some of the brown bits. Actually, also the brown bits add flavor, right? So those are the brown bits left over from the onion and from the cauliflower. So that is what we are going to use to thicken our liquid. And our liquid is going to be a cup of broth. We have chicken broth. You could use beef broth, but I think the chicken is a little milder, and that's going to work a little bit better. So I'm going to whisk that in here and turn up the heat a little bit so we can start warming this. And this is going to become our sauce. But we're also going to add some milk, right? We kind of want a creamy sauce. So usually there's some kind of dairy that goes in with that as well. So we've got the 1 cup of the broth is going to add kind of that nice savory, a little bit umami kind of a flavor. And then we've got our milk here, and we're going to do another 3 cups of this guy. And we're really going to heat this sucker up. We're going to get all whisked together. So that roux or that paste is going to really help thicken this up for us. There we go. All right, so we've got that in, and you're going to want to turn it up. You want to be careful. You don't want to get too hot because you don't want to scald, your milk. But we do need it to be thickening and heating up. That's really what's going to cause the action of that thickener to actually thicken our liquid here. So this is going to take a minute or two to thicken, and then we'll go ahead and add our cheese in. So while this is thickening for just a minute, Amber, do you have any cool tidbits to share with us about cauliflower or onions or Gouda or something cool about this recipe?
I do, in fact. Yes. So before I do that, though, I wanted to put a shout out for our Art of Cooking Well 2024 cookbook. So that if you would like it, please put in the chat that you would like us to email you a copy of this. It's a PDF copy, beautifully done, organized by appetizer, entree, dessert, things like that. And so if you would like that, please type in the chat, send me a copy, and we will get you a copy of that. Ashley, yes, send me the ebook. Yes, it's going to be great. It's all of 2024. Even if you came to the classes, it's kind of really, really nice to have it all in one place. And then also, I wanted to really highlight our next class will be heart healthy desserts, and that is going to be February 21st. So it will be after Valentine's Day, but it'll still be in the Valentine's flair for, trying to have desserts for our loved ones. And treats can be good and good for you too. And of course, that's on Friday from 11 to 12. And then in March, we have our next Healthy Living series. We're finishing up our Healthy Habits this coming Tuesday, but our next Healthy Living series is meal planning. starting March 4th, and that's from 11:30 to 12. And that's every Tuesday. Our first week is label reading 101. Our second week is balancing your bariatric plate. The third week is the virtual grocery store tour. And the fourth week is mindful eating. And just so you know, the changes will be reflected in your under your appointments in your My Chart. So you got to email us if you want to be signed up for that. So I have more. Do you want me to keep talking? Okay, okay.
There we are. We're starting to get a little bit of thickening here. Got a nice steam coming off that I'm sure, yep, you can see on camera. So we're getting some good thickening going. So we're going to go ahead and add in our cheese. So this is some smoked Gouda. I bought a little round at Walmart and we just shredded that up. So I think it was a 7-ounce little round. So 7 to 8 ounces of the smoked Gouda is about what you'll need. So you can buy it that way, or if you see it at the deli and have them slice it for you, you can chop that up a little bit, and same kind of thing, because we're all going to be melting it in here. So we just want to make sure we get it into smaller pieces like shreds or chopped into smaller pieces, just so it melts a little bit easier in there. I don't know if you've ever tried to toss chunks of cheese into a sauce. It just doesn't melt as nicely. It just takes a little bit more work and time. So it's easier if we do it this way. So we are going to, oh yeah, this is coming along nicely. So we're getting our smoked Gouda melted in. And you could use other cheeses for this if you're really not a smoked Gouda fan. You could just do regular cheddar or sharp cheddar to get a little bit more of that cheddary kind of flavor. So basically you're making a cheese sauce, which is fine. Cheese sauce is great. My daughter loves it. She makes it all the time. Good for vegetables and meats and all those kind of things. And you could also use something like some pepper jack cheese if you wanted a little bit more of that heat, something like that. So you really can kind of mix it up a little bit in order to just change the flavor. But you basically have a baseline sauce recipe for a dish with this get up right here. You can just change up the flavors a little bit, even simply like just changing the cheese that you use. So it makes it a really flexible kind of an option, and it's a pretty decent size. So if you are feeding more people, or you're just feeding a family of 4 or 5, this is going to go a good long ways as far as the entree is concerned. Now, one of the things that we decided to add into this was a little bit of liquid smoke. You don't have to, but I was like, man, I want more smoke. I want it. And so we're going to add in just a teaspoon of liquid smoke. So if you have it and you want to use that, that's great. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But I just thought, man, I want more smoke in mine. I'm going to add some liquid smoke. And then we're going to add some other flavors as well, just to kind of bring everything forward. So we have some Dijon mustard that we're going to go ahead and put in here. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. So we've got our Dijon mustard and our liquid smoke right here. We're going to get that in there. There we go. And I know it sounds funny to use Dijon mustard, but it really does add a nice little bit of flavor. We're just kind of trying to layer some different flavors in here is what we're doing with that. And then we've got some salt. We've got some smoked paprika. Regular paprika is fine here if you want that. I kind of wanted a little bit more of a garlicky flavor, so I added a little bit of garlic salt to it just to kind of dial that up a little bit. Little bit of cayenne. So a little bit of cayenne. And then when I was trying this at home, actually also, I put in a little bit of chipotle powder, just a little bit, because, again, that just layers in a little bit of heat and interest in the back. Not a lot, just a little bit. And it also has that smokiness to it, because that's what it is smoked peppers that have been grated down into a powder. So we're just getting this all mixed in here. We're just going to let this settle together. We're going to let them ruminate and dance about and get all happy and friendly in here in the pan. And then all we got to do is add our other ingredients back. It's good. So it's a really, really pretty easy dish here that you can put together for yourself, as long as we get all of this incorporated really, really well. And then you can cook this down to whatever thickness you prefer. If you like it a little bit more runny, you can stop earlier, but if you want something that's even more thick, you can just cook it a little bit longer and let it cook down a little bit more. But I think we got a pretty good thing going on in here. So we are going to add in our cauliflower and our onion back, our nice, very flavorful, little bit browned onion and cauliflower. I'm trying to get it all. You know, I'm kind of a waste not, want not kind of person, so I kind of get to be a little bit of a stickler about trying to scrape it all out of the bowl. And then we have our chicken. Okay, so we've got our rotisserie chicken. You can do that. You can use different versions, right? So you can grill your own and chop it up. You can stick it in the crock pot and shred it up, and then you have your 2 cups that way. We've got the rotisserie chicken that you can buy at the store that's already pulled off the carcass for you and just in containers, or you can buy the rotisserie chicken and do it yourself, especially if they're on sale. It's kind of a nice way to do it. Frozen chicken, bake it, chop it, whatever, right? So basically we just need about 2 cups of chicken. It's just the rotisserie is easier and quicker, but you can go with whatever you like. This is really nice. It's getting like nice and gooey in here. It's great. So then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add our chicken in. And then we're going to stir it up. And then we're done. And we've got it all ready to go. So it kind of is a little bit fancy tasting because of the smoked Gouda. We got our cheese. We've got a ton of flavor in the sauce. We've got our protein with the cheese and with the chicken. We've got some good vegetables and produce in here with the cauliflower and with the onion, because that counts, right? If we're trying to think about adding more plants into our lives, we count all of those little things that sometimes, you know, they're there to add flavor, but we don't always thinking about them as eating a vegetable, but we really are. And so we're trying to add flavor, but increase our plant foods. All of the time, we're trying to look to do that. And that is it. It is done. And I'm gonna try and hold it up for you without burning myself. But there we go. So we can kind of see it a little bit. We'll dish it up for you so you can see it a little bit later. But it smells really good. All right, my people. Recipe number 1 is done. We're going to set this one to the side. We're going to go to a commercial break. We're going to get ready for round 2. See you in a minute.
We are excited about this. It's smelling really good in here. Again, we wish we could just funnel those smells through the through the computer. That would be so awesome. One thing too, we're going to plate it up so you can see it like in a plate a little bit easier to maybe see than in the pan. We get challenged because it's bright light, right? Reflecting off the white food. It makes it a little bit crazy. But what you can do too, because of that whiteness, you can stick it under the broiler for a couple of minutes and just brown the top. Like let's say you serve it and you want to have it like in a baking dish. Some people, might want to serve it on some cilantro rice. I know that there's already, cilantro rice, cauliflower rice. I know there's already cauliflower in it, but you can do a bunch of different things. But it's so good, like really creamy and tasty. And so that's kind of a way to add some color to the dish. It's just a little broiling on the top. Also, okay. The other thing that we didn't get to talk about during the class, when she was sautéing, and I was going to do that, was we had this little theme that we were going on our support group this month. Feels like it was last month, but because it's the 24th today. But for our New Year's resolution, some of you maybe were at support group, so that's fine. But what someone came up with, and I can't even remember if it was Mish, if it was Jen, or if it was one of our participants probably. I know it wasn't me, but it was coming up with our New Year's resolution instead of, we always want to lose weight and exercise more and everything, but what is your word or short phrase of the year? So we came up with things like release, right? Releasing things. Mine is breathe. I get like an Energizer bunny. I get really wound up, and someone who drinks too much caffeine, basically. And so mine is breathe. When I'm in traffic, I try to breathe. When I feel stressed, I try to breathe. And that's my word of the year. So if you want to think of something, maybe you already come up with one. Maybe if you're at the support group, you already had one. If you want to share it in the chat, what is your word for the year, right? Possibilities. I love that, Lacey. That's so awesome. Y'all going to give me chills when you start pumping them in the chat. I know it. Confidence. Ooh, I love that one too. Why do we all lack that? Sometimes I just can't understand why we doubt ourselves or why we have insecurities in ourselves. It's so, I can't say it's crazy because I know it's really normal, but it's frustrating. So I love that one, Maggie. Anything else? I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that people shared. Jen's was simplify. Catalina, mindfulness. I like that. Patience, yes, for April. Perseverance. Amen to that. That's a good one. I like all of these. I'm going to steal them all. But I like to have the focus on one, right? Because we always think, oh, I can do more. I can exercise more. I can do more, 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 more. And that's why mine is breathe. Success. All right, Sally. I love that. Well, thank you guys all for sharing that. That is just something that I think is super important, right? Because, we've all done the New Year's resolutions. And what do they say, that second Friday or something of the month? I think it was the 13th. No, today's the 24th. It was last Friday. Forgiveness. Ooh, I like that one too. Last Friday was like I don't know what they call it, but it's like National Quit Your Resolutions Day last Friday. The 17th of January. Isn't that sad? It's like, what? So if we have a word, we're not quitting. We've got the word. We can forget. Oh, I forgot today. I didn't breathe that well and I feel stressed. Failure Friday is what it's called. Thank you, Sally. Grace with myself and others. Boy, do I need that when I'm commuting in. Whew, breathing and grace. There you go, Sage. I love it. Anyway, it's so cool that we can come up with something different instead of always the same thing over and over again. That's kind of the whole point. So let's see. Anything else I'm going to be talking about? I talked about the classes. Oh, also with some of these classes coming up, I know healthy living can be a conflict for some of you. So we are working in 2025 to be recording these so that you can watch some of our healthy living if you miss them. So that is kind of cool too. That is something we haven't done in the past. We really know that they are valuable information. And if you're at work and you can't watch the class, then we're going to have them recorded and possibly shortened. So there'll be more micro bursts of lessons. So they're not even just a half an hour. They might be a little shorter than that, really highlighting all of the information. So that will be on our YouTube channel, our playlist, excuse me. St. Luke's has a YouTube channel. We have a playlist. And we'll talk about that at the end of class. But anyway, just wanted to let you know on that. And awesome. I'm getting thumbs up. Hey, we're going to recipe number 2. That is awesome because it is my favorite out of all of them. So I'm going to transfer you on over to Jen.
We are back in the kitchen for recipe number 2. This one is really good. Amber is right. I know it's her favorite and she's spot on. It tastes really, really good. This is our cheeseburger casserole. So we've got our cheeseburger casserole skillet because we're putting it in a skillet. And this one really is like we're putting it all in one. There's no even like take it out, set it in the side in the bowl, put it back in kind of business with this one. So really, really nice and convenient with this guy. So what we have here already browning is our ground beef. We've got some onion. Yeah, got some onion and some ground beef and a little bit of the bacon grease. I pre-cooked the bacon for this guy. So technically this is a bacon cheeseburger casserole skillet. Hope you're not disappointed about that. I'm not. So we had our bacon. By the way, one of the cool things about when you're chopping meat, as some of you maybe have already tried this and know about this, but chopping partially frozen meat is so much easier than fully thawed. We had our bacon in the freezer, just keeping it there good for us. And we sliced that guy up so much easier than when you're trying to like chase that squirmy bacon all over on your cutting board. But we chopped it up, we pre-cooked it, reserved just about a tablespoon of the bacon grease. So we're just adding a tiny bit of that flavor from that and toss the rest because it was kind of a lot. So we did that. And now I've got my onions and my ground beef that are browning here in the pan. And one of the things I'll be curious to see what kind of comments you guys give, because one of the things that frustrates me is trying to brown a ground beef and get it into those nice little crumbles that you can have, or like pork, right? If you're trying to get crumbled pork, something like that. So I am curious what kind of tricks that you guys know about or have done before that have worked really well for you. I definitely feel like having enough moisture in the pan is really, really important. And then just like continually pulling it and breaking it up for sure. So if you have beef that has a little bit higher fat content, it's going to kind of do that for it's going to have a lot of moisture in there because of the fat. But if you have a leaner meat, then you might have to add a little bit of water to the pan while you're cooking it and maybe drain that out when you're done if it hasn't all evaporated as much as you want it to. But this guy, I've just been kind of pulling it and pulling it. Someone online that I was reading the other day used a potato masher. So yeah, and I know that there are some like little tools out there that you can use as well. But I guess the potato masher is like kind of like the current hack that can work really well. So you just get in there and mash it with your potato masher. So I know we got some comments coming in there on that. So we'll take a look at those in a minute. I appreciate you guys sharing. Okay, so my beef has browned. It is done, no pink, all gone. And if you have a lot of grease in the pan, again, depending on the fat content of your beef, you may want to drain that extra off because we don't really need it. You know, a little bit is good, but we don't need a lot. So depending on what beef you have, you may or may not need to drain that a little bit. So the rest is super easy, you guys. This is great. I love this recipe. I love it, love it, love it. So we're basically going to add all the rest of these ingredients. We're going to make a sauce. So we have some broth. This one can be chicken or beef. So whatever you have. I mean, beef would work really well with this, but chicken is fine too if that's what you have. So we've got that going in. We've got some Worcestershire sauce. A little bit more of that umami, you know, savory kind of flavor. If you have a steak sauce, that works good too. You could probably toss like a tablespoon of some soy sauce in there. That would work out just fine. We're going to do a little cream cheese, a couple ounces of cream cheese so we can get a little bit of creaminess into our sauce. Not a ton, but just a little bit. We got some mustard because it's a cheeseburger, right? Mustard, yes. That bowl is really small. All right. There we go. We got it. I think it's just like a teaspoon of mustard. It is a small amount. Or is it a tablespoon? Yep, it's a teaspoon. All right. And then we've got to have a little tomatoey flavor. So we just have actually some tomato paste. So it's not actually ketchup. So there's no added sugar with this guy, but we still get that tomatoey kind of flavor. So we're going to toss that in there. And then we've got some seasoning, got some salt and pepper. We got a little bit of some garlic and onion powder. So we're going to sprinkle that in. Ta-da! And we're just going to stir this guy around. So really all we're doing is we're just trying to melt down the cream cheese, basically, in order for it to blend with those other flavors that we just added in and with the broth so that we kind of get that sauce going. So just going to really mash this guy down. It only takes a minute or two to do that. You know, another thing that I've noticed, y'all can comment to me, but has anyone else noticed a difference with different cream cheese brands and how well they melt or don't melt? Because I feel like the not Philadelphia cream cheese doesn't melt as good. That's been my experience, just thoughts, but I would love to hear what you guys have noticed with the cream cheese. I was just noticing the other day, and I was kind of annoyed when I was trying to mix in some cream cheese into something. I was like, why do I have pieces of cream cheese? And I thought, maybe it's because I went with a cheaper cream cheese on this one. I don't know. So anyway, we're getting closer though, because I'm in here mashing it up.
We've got some people saying, yes, you're correct.
Thank you. I appreciate the validation. Okay. All right. Good. I kind of like Philadelphia for the consistency, the meltability of that. I think if you're just spreading it on stuff, maybe you don't care about that difference. But boy, for melting, it's a pain in my back. How's that? Okay. So we're nearly there. Nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. And then all we got to do is top this sucker and let it sit and do its good work on the stovetop. So the nice thing with this one is really once you've got everything in here, we're going to put the toppers on in a second. You put on the lid and you just let it go for a few more minutes and then you're done. So you can walk away. You can get any other couple of things that you need to get ready for dinner ready, pull out the plates, make the salad, whatever it is you're putting on the side with this guy. We're going to put it on and then you're good to go. All right. Finally, we've got all of this cream cheese all nice and spread out in here. So I'm going to spread it out. I'm going to turn it down because I don't need it super high anymore. It's cooked. And then we're going to put the good toppings on because, like I said, this is a cheeseburger. It's a bacon cheeseburger. So we need our cheese, right? So we got just some shredded cheddar here. Nothing too crazy with that. And I'm just going to spread this around so that it's melted on top. I'm going to get a good melt on this guy.
There's a question.
Oh, there's a question. Amber, what is the question?
If we don't have cream cheese, would heavy whipping cream work?
You know, I think it would because we're just trying to go for that creamy kind of, vibe, I guess you could say. And it was trying to make a sauce that has a little bit of that creaminess. So I would think a tablespoonful or two of the cream would be fine. Maybe you'd have to cook it a hair longer because you added a liquid instead of a solid. So maybe your consistency would be just a little different. So you'd want to evaporate a little bit of that liquid off. So that would be my thought on an adjustment like that. But I think you could totally do that. I mean, man, if we can use what we already have, why not? Okay. So cheese, crumbled bacon, y'all. It smelled so good when we were cooking this earlier. I love the cook of smelled bacon. The smell of cooked bacon. Yeah. Ta-da. There we go. So I'm going to do my best here. Let's see if we can get this guy over to you just a little without totally ruining it. That's what it's, so you can kind of see that. Yeah. So we're going to put the lid on it. We're going to set it aside with the heat underneath for like 5-6 minutes or so, right around there, and let it do its work. And then actually, we're going to move on, people. We're ready to move on. Going to get my lid on this guy. Get that cheese all good and melty. All right, y'all. See you in a few minutes.
All right, everyone. One thing I wanted to mention while she was building that amazing bacon cheeseburger skillet is the difference. When we did our testing, we used shredded cheese and it really took a long time to melt. We actually had to stick it under the broiler to melt the cheese. So this time we bought regular cheese, regular block cheese, and grated it. And boy, it's going to melt a lot easier. And the reason that is, you may know, most of you probably know this, but that the block cheese doesn't have added things like the rice flour or the potato starch. Those types of starches or flours are added to the shredded cheese because if you didn't do that, if you've ever saved block shredded cheese in your fridge, it will stick together. So that is a problem, right? So that's why shredded cheese is convenient and nice and we love it. But when you're trying to have something melted and beautiful like a skillet, we want to make sure we have the block cheese. And then, and it also tastes better. And you know what? You actually get more for your money when you do the block cheese, which is cool. We're all on a budget. You get an arm workout, a little bonus. Just don't grade your fingernail like I did this morning. Don't do that. I have graded so many pieces of skin in my life, but luckily you're not here to taste it and get a piece of my fingernail. It's not food safe. I know. I was like, do they make, how they make knife gloves? I wonder if they make grating cheese gloves because I know they make knife gloves so you don't cut yourself. Anyway, we are getting set up for added protein. Thank you, Sally. That's very funny. Yeah, the shredded cheese. It's funny. I started doing more shredded cheese now that I'm working full time and I've got a teenager who just always wants to have a burrito. So I just am like, here's all the ingredients, just do it. But boy, when you are trying to melt it, it's definitely not as great having that. And there's no preservatives in the block cheese, things like that. So it's just better for you, right? And it's more of a whole food, less processed, all that good stuff. But if you don't have the capability or you're really busy and you want something convenient, hey, the melted or the grated cheese works great. You just might have to stick it under the broiler for a couple minutes to finish off that one pot skillet. Okay, the other thing, let's see. Oh, what we're going to serve it with. We are going to serve it, not today, but if we, sorry, what you can serve this cheeseburger skillet with is a nice like iceberg chopped salad with the salad dressing that we had from September 2023, and I'm going to share it. I'm sorry I forgot to include it. Jen and I were like, whoops, we forgot to include it in the recipe. And we were not going to say, hey, last minute, we need to add this. We're not going to do that. So if you're interested, we have it's called Not Your Mama's Thousand Island, or Not Your Grandmother's Thousand Island Dressing. And it is really, really good with a chopped salad and this cheeseburger skillet. It has in it mayonnaise, ketchup, apple cider vinegar, little monk fruit, some finely chopped dill pickles or relish. You could do that. Some onion, which I hear is kind of the key ingredient, that onion. But it's only 2 teaspoons. So Jen said she buys the frozen chopped onion, or she just has chopped onion that she keeps in the freezer. And she just puts a couple teaspoons in. She makes it all the time for her family. Some salt and pepper and a little bit of soy sauce or coconut aminos or tamari. And then a little bit of milk if you need to thin it at all. So that's kind of a great recipe. So if you guys are interested in that, I can have Maggie, actually, she'll probably do it since she's sending the cookbook. Thank you, Maggie. Oh, and Worcestershire, you could, yes, add that too. That's totally up to you. I know that's what In-N-Out has in their burger sauce. They actually publish the recipe, and I got it years ago, and it's so good. I do it all the time. The only thing I don't put in it all the time is the Worcestershire, however you say it. However you're supposed to say it. We kind of joke about that. All right. I think we're ready. We're ready. We're ready to go back. I think. Okay. We're good. All right. I'm going to send it back.
Okay. We are ready for recipe number 3 on the docket for today. So again, kind of mixing it up, a little bit different dishes here all for today. We're going to have shrimp with this one. So we've got a shrimp skillet, garlicky, of course, because garlic is awesome. Super good for you, by the way. And then we got some vegetable in there. We've got our broccoli. So really, it's just a bacon cheeseburger skillet that doesn't have much in the way of vegetable mixed in, a little bit of the onion. So that's definitely one you want to pair with some kind of vegetable on the side. This one has vegetables mixed in, so it can really stand alone if you want it to. Plus, we've got some cauliflower rice that we'll show you here in a minute that you can put this on top of. So you can really kind of level up the vegetable piece to this while still getting a lot of the good flavor of what we got going on here. So first things first, we are going to saute and brown a little bit our sliced garlic. And I left this good work to Amber. She did a great job. She took, I think, is it 6? Yeah, 6 cloves of garlic. And she sliced those nice and thin for us. Yeah, she did a great job. So we're going to toss about half of these in. So just about half. We're going to get them in there. Woo, woo. And we're going to get those going and browning and softening and smelling awesome for not too long, just kind of starting to get a little bit of the brown on those guys going. I already have some oil here in the pan, and I had turned it on and started to get it hot while Amber was talking. So it's not going to take too long if you already have it hot to get a little brown on those edges. And then we're going to want to go ahead and add in our vegetables. We're going to want to start to get those sauteing and softening here a little bit. The goal with these not necessarily is to get them super mushy. So you're going to want to keep a little bit of al dente on that guy with your vegetables. So that's red bell pepper, broccoli. Oops, we got a little extra red bell pepper. There we go. So, oh no, got a broccoli down. There we go. So we're going to try and soften these up, and we are going to season these. I mean, one of the tricks of getting a good flavor in a dish is seasoning the different layers as you go along. So just some salt and pepper. So half of the salt and pepper that the recipe calls for, we're mixing in with our vegetables as they saute. That's going to help add some flavor to this piece. And then we're going to do the same with our shrimp here in a couple minutes, but these need a minute or so. Oh man, I'm just throwing broccoli everywhere. There we go. So sometimes when you're doing this, you might find that it gets a little dry in the pot or in the pan. So I would say have a little bit of water at the ready, a tablespoonful or so, to get that, to keep it from getting too dry in there. I mean, yeah, maybe we want a tiny bit of browning, but we don't want to burn it necessarily. So mine is starting to get a little bit dry. So I'm going to add a little bit of water in here and just going to help soften these up a little bit more. Now with this, we actually want to cover it. Where's my lid? Here it is. There we go. So we want to cover that, keep it, so we're kind of partially steaming as well. Yes, we are. But we want to give those a few minutes to soften and to cook. And then we will pull those out and set those aside. Then we'll go ahead and put our shrimp in. Just basic frozen deveined shrimp. We had them, we didn't have them take the tails off. We bought the ones with the tails not on. That's really up to you. If you like them with the tails on, you can buy them that way. But for the purposes of this, because it's mixed in together with the dish, it's just easier if you already buy them that way. And then I would pull those out first and set them to the side and let them start to thaw while you're getting everything else ready and you're cooking your vegetables, so that they're, for the most part, thawed. Luckily, they're small, so they're not going to take too long to get ready. Okay, so we're getting somewhere here. Do you have any other tidbits to share with the folks at home while I'm getting these a little softer? That's a little warm.
Absolutely.
All right.
I was trying to figure out how to serve up the hamburger because I didn't get myself a utensil.
Here you go.
I need rubber.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you do. You might have to borrow one of the other ones. We'll get it figured out.
Well, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about the quality and nutritional value of olive oil. It depends on the type of olive oil and how it's processed. I know we're using the extra virgin olive oil. It is the least processed, and it actually has the most nutritional value. And this because it's not refined. It is just has more nutrients in it. And so the key is when you're having a new healthy lifestyle, you want to get the least refined that you can afford. I know we got this at Walmart, extra virgin olive oil. It's not too bad. It's really pretty affordable, and it goes a long ways, which is really, really helpful. So that is what we do. Now, the light olive oil has very little flavor, so it can be used in different things that you don't want that olivey flavor. It's for dishes that like just don't pair well with that stronger flavored oil. And then virgin olive oil, it also has some awesome antioxidant compounds, but it's a little lower quality than the extra virgin olive oil. Let's see, anything else on that? Jen was talking about at one point the origin.
Yeah, you should be able to see the origins. It should be on the bottle, first of all, for sure. And then the really, really good quality olive oils typically are single source. So on this one, we see multiple countries, so Argentina, Chile, Greece, Morocco, Italy, Portugal. So, I mean, areas of the world where that's where the olive trees are going to grow. So still a good quality, but you're like single sourcing is like really, really good. I like to buy olive oil from Costco because I know they tend to vet their products pretty well. Certainly, though, you're going to find other good quality olive oils around. But if you can get at least extra virgin olive oil, there are compounds in that are particularly anti-inflammatory, which means they're going to help us avoid heart disease and cancer and diabetes and joint pains and all of those kind of more inflammatory connected type of conditions. So I usually tell people, like, buy the best that you can afford, so just, get the highest quality that fits into your budget and use that one. So I think we're good here. Woo! On our vegetables. So we are going to go ahead. I'm going to have to use my towel for this. Here we go. Try not to light it on fire. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just dump these out into the bowl. We got to set these aside. Yeah, there's a little bit left. All right. Don't look while I fumble about. Look away. There we go. All right, we got it. So now it is time, woo, to get the shrimp going. So I got my shrimp here. I put it in just like a little strainer and stuck it in the sink and just ran some water over it to kind of help start getting them thawed, and then set it on a plate just so to catch the juices. So we've got that ready to go. So we're going to pump up the heat a little bit, and then we actually got to get our butter in there, a little bit of butter. So we got to add a little bit of fat again to this guy, not a lot. Okay, so just a couple tablespoons, and then we got the rest of our garlic. So we're putting that into, we got to get the rest of that cooked up, right? We're layering our flavors. So in goes our garlic right there. And we're going to get that, again, browned a little bit. We've got a pretty good heat going on here. Oh yeah, we're already browning. This is great. And then we're going to toss in our shrimp, and we're going to get those cooked as well. So because we've already got we got a lot of heat, and we've already got a little bit of brownness going on, those garlics are already browning for us. So then we're going to toss in, oops, we got one that tried to get away. So we're going to toss in our shrimp. Now, shrimp does not take very long. I mean, it's sometimes, depending on the size, maybe only a couple minutes per side. And if you cook beyond just doneness, you're going to get a more rubbery shrimp. So if you don't want that rubbery, tough texture on your shrimp, cook it until the translucence is gone, until they kind of have that white and pink coloring to them, and then pull them off. So we don't want to overdo it with these guys. And they're already starting to lose some of their translucence here. So we're going to add the rest of our salt and pepper. I'm just going to sprinkle that over here. There we go. And just give that a good stir and let these guys go. Then we're going to add our other flavors and our vegetables back in, and then we're done. So I think you would find, especially if you like shrimp, this one's actually really good. It's got a lot of that garlicky flavor to it. It doesn't have a lot of other particular flavors that pop out necessarily as far as, you know, herbs or seasonings or those kind of things, but you've got the garlic, you've got the broccoli, you've got your red pepper, you've got your shrimp. So a really nice, I would say a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit leaner dish. That's what you need. That settles better for you. If that's just what you happen to like on a particular day, then this one is going to work out really, really well for you. And again, not too difficult here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give these just one more minute to cook, and then we'll add everything else back in. The fourth recipe that we have for you today is going to be the cauliflower rice. And we pre-made that. It was, again, not difficult, but quite honestly pairs really, really well with the shrimp that we have, this shrimp and broccoli dish. And man, that one goes by really, really quick. I think the hardest thing for that one was getting the zest off the lime. That's probably the hardest part of that whole recipe, quite honestly. So anyway, I'll talk about that more here in a second. So I'm going to toss in my vegetables back. The vegetables cooked just enough that they're really having that bright color, so they're popping. We're not killing them, so we're not getting mushy or kind of dead looking there. We want kind of that bright color here. And then we're going to add a little bit of that flavor. So we've got just a little bit of some lemon juice, just a little bit of brightness, okay? So that's going to add a little bit of brightness here to it. And then we're done. That's it. That's all we need. So we've got her done, and then we can serve it on our bed of cauliflower rice. So let me go ahead and pull that cauliflower rice over, and I'll show that to you here while we get the rest of these things dished up. There we go. I'll take this one. Yeah, I'll take that one. All right. So with the cauliflower, let me move some of these things out of the way here. Frozen cauliflower, right? So easy peasy, lay that out on the counter while you get the rest of the ingredients going. So it's at least a little partially frozen, easier to pour out onto the bag. But what you're going to start doing is sauteing some of those basic other plant foods. So the garlic, the red onion, the jalapeno in there. Get that jalapeno chopped rather small. That will help, especially if you don't like super spicy, you could use a little bit less. And certainly if you cook it a little bit more, that kind of helps bring the heat down a little bit. It's not a super spicy dish. There's a little bit of heat, but not a whole lot. But you can dial up or down the jalapeno in that how you prefer. But we'll have our pan. We were cooking those up and giving those a good saute. Again, I kind of like them a little brownish, but I got those going. So not too much browning with this one, but just kind of starting to get to that point. And the cilantro was cooking in that as well. So we just had that going for a few minutes, and then we tossed in the cauliflower. And when you toss in the frozen cauliflower, because there's a lot of moisture with it, right, a lot of whole steam comes up out of that guy. The nice thing though about that is that kind of gives you a signal of where you're at in the cooking process. So if we got a lot of steam coming off, we just started, right? We still got a ways to go with the cooking. But as the steam is dissipating and we're getting closer to the end of our cooking time, then we know we've got less of that coming out. And so it's going to get more and more dry. And that's going to signal to us that we're about done with cooking the cauliflower. And then basically we add our flavor at the end, which is we got a little bit of that lime zest. We got a little bit of that lime juice. A little bit of salt, typically a little bit of salt seasoning to kind of bring everything, all those flavors out, especially if you're mixing an acid in. A little bit of that salt just really brings that flavor forward, really makes it pop. So we've got our rice, cauliflower rice. I will hold that out for you. Da, 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 da. There we are. Really, really good. I was really pleased with this one. This turned out really, really well. And then it pairs well, stand by, with our shrimp dish. So I'll get it a little closer. We've got the sheen. Yeah, the sheen.
Okay. Sorry,
I don't know. There we go. That's really not better.
The
So
picture on the recipe is good, though.
yeah, the picture on the recipe is good. So we've got our shrimp dish on top of the cauliflower. You could go either way. So the shrimp dish could stand alone, or you can put it here. Very, very good. We got our first option here, of course, our chicken and the cauliflower with the smoked Gouda sauce. Yeah, that one looks really, really good too. So we got a little paprika sprinkled on top, kind of makes it, look a little bit more interesting. Really, really good. A lot of flavor, smells really, really good as well. So I think you will like that one. Nice and soft, especially if you feel like you need something with a lot of moisture, just kind of getting everything down. That one's going to be really nice for you. And then we have our cheeseburger. Yeah, this is a favorite too, right? So the bacon and the meat and the cheese. Yeah, really, really good. So this one is a really great dish as well. So you've got several dishes here, 4 technically, but I would say 3 meals worth with these different dishes. A lot of good flavor. You've got your meat, your proteins, and you've got some vegetables mixed in, or you can put them on the side. And I think we did it. I think we made it. What questions, comments, and such do we have, or what other business do you have to finish up for us, Amber? Are we it? Are we done?
Well, I do have some things.
Oh, I
turned her off. I'm sorry. Turned off, Jen. Turned her off. I'll leave her on for a second. I'll leave her on and I'll be in the corner here. She's going to do, stop it. I'm going to switch it to the, I'm going to switch it to the thing. Anyway, just to finish up, right? I know I had mentioned early in the class that I would let you know where the YouTube channel is, right? That's really important. Oh, there's a beautiful picture of that shrimp and broccoli there. So you go to St. Luke's Health System YouTube page and you click on Bariatric Nutrition. I'm going to get there for us right now so that you can kind of see what it looks like. When you go to St. Luke's Health System, you click on playlist, and then you hit, once you go to playlist, then you go to Bariatric Nutrition, and that will have all of our classes. So we have all of our cooking classes since October, I believe, of 2023. So we have a lot in there all the way up through November. We didn't have a class in December. So that was kind of sad, but and then in a couple weeks, we'll have this one up there. So if you have friends or family within the St. Luke's network that you can watch and all that good stuff and get the recipes. Well, actually anyone on YouTube can watch the YouTube. Oh, it's really good. Awesome. And then always check our website at St. Luke's Bariatric Department, and we have the list of our support group, our everything there. We have our healthy living class. We have our when we have our cooking classes are announced here. And so just be sure that you're checking on that in case you forget. When is the support group? We have support group the second Wednesday of every month, and that's from 5 to 6 p.m. And then our healthy living is every other month. So January, March, May, July, September, November. So anyway, all right. Any other questions that you guys have for us? It's really simple. That's the coolest thing I think about these. We didn't really talk about, but you could put some of them, like the skillet could be put in the crock pot. There are other ways to do it too. You don't have to be doing it on the stove, but they were all super quick. So it's almost like you could pre-brown your meat earlier in the day or earlier the night before, and then the YouTube channel name specifically. Yeah, let me get that for you. It's hang on just a second. Hold, please. Let me grab it. I can just go right to it, and then I can just send you the link. That's probably the best thing to do. St. Luke's YouTube. There we go. Because that's the easiest way to do it. Because that way you guys know exactly where it is. Then I can give you the link. There it is. That's our, because if you put just St. Luke's under YouTube, there's a bunch of different ones there. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. We're so excited about next month. It's going to be fun. All kinds of desserts. It's going to be weird not to have lunch, though. So I'm going to have to remember to bring a lunch that day because that's going to be weird just having desserts. So thank you again for coming. And we're going to get those cookbooks to those of you that asked for it, and also the Not Your Grandma's Thousand Island dressing. So I'll send both of those out via my chart. I was corrected. I saw in Maggie's message that they will not fit in an email. So it's too big, the cookbook is. So it has to be sent through my chart. Sarah has a question. Sarah, yes. Just make sure you unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Sarah? Hello? Oh, you want a cookbook?
Yes, I was going to ask for a cookbook, please.
Yes, got you. I will review all the chats, and I'll make sure everybody gets one. All right.
I had a difficult time figuring out how to chat.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, anyone who put it in there. And you know what? It looks like almost everyone asked for one, so that won't be hard to do because you're all on my schedule today. So that'll be easy to find you. All right. Thank you guys all. Yeah, make sure you put it in there, but I will just probably end up sending it to everyone because everyone said yes, it looks like. All right. Have a great Friday. Take care. Bye.